So yeah, I built my own FM synth. One of the biggest things that I wanted Bitwig to fix in version 6, which when this comes out, by the way, I don't know if it's going to be fixed or not. I don't know. I don't have any insider information. I don't have any kind of wherewithal, whatever, as of August 24th, 2:28 a.m. I will say, though, that I built a really kick-ass FM synth, and I'm going to show you here in a second. But one of the big issues that I have with FM4 is that, for one, it's only sine waves, and two, you can't actually modulate the tables here by anything. You can modulate the FM amount or the mod amount, but whatever values are within the table or the matrix itself have to be exactly what it is. So that's where I come in, and I built this monstrosity. And this thing is pretty much FM4 slash operator, but on crack. I will say that operator, you can still like create your own like waveforms, but you can technically do that within this as well with scroll. However, what is different about this is that it not only has a sampler built into it, but it also has wavetables built into it. So if you can make wavetables, or you can import wavetables, or to be honest with you, if you right click this into anything else, then this will actually hot swap into any of these other engines. So like this is this is like a magnum opus of an FM synth. I will say that it's not quite like FM8 because this is only 5 operators per se, to where also doing FM with the sampler is kind of not real. We're technically FMing or using phase modulation to a filter that's going back into the sampler. It's the next best thing. So how does this work? First of all, what does it sound like? Yeah, the big thing that I wanted to mention with this is you don't really need to pay attention to this except for a couple of key things. I did most of the work for you here within the matrix, and so the signal flow is up to down. So if you want to have, let's just say operator A, then you'll turn everything else off, turn operator A up. And as you can see, everything is kind of coordinated with what's going on here. And so if you want A to FM itself, then you can do that. Sorry, this is the FM amount. Then if you want A to FM itself, you can do that. If you want B, C, D, and the sampler, and then also this feedback thing right here is all of the outputs feedbacking into the engine itself. So if you have a little bit of everything, kind of like this, which you want to be careful with this, by the way, but let's say you've got all of these going on and then you add a little bit of feedback to A. Then you can do that as well. And of course, you can kind of build a complex engine like this just by, you know, applying some of these, which is not the most fun to work with because there's a modulator attached and it's not, again, not the most elegant, but it is pretty cool because it's freely modulatable, freely modular. And not only that, but if we were to do something like pull up a search function and grab, say, an LFO, well, guess what? You can apply this to all of the things that you want to send this off to. And so now you're going to get movement, or you can add envelopes, or you can add randomizers or whatever into the matrix. That's very subtle, but hopefully you can kind of tell what that's doing. And not only that, but there's actually a really cool thing that I added into this as well. In order to get feedback, we have to use a long delay. And so I took advantage of that. And this little time thing right here allows us to kind of, I don't know, play on that. And you can add more things to this if you want to, because the mod delay doesn't really have a crazy chain that's going into itself other than the feedback system from the white or this green thing. So you can actually place more effects into these chains here from these outputs here. For example, if I wanted to, which I didn't do this, by the way, on purpose because I didn't want to overcomplicate the synth, but if I were to apply maybe like a push to this, then we can actually add distortion in between this amount, or we can do something that is pretty common within feedback, like add a blend and do something like this to where we have a signal here and this one will go directly to this one. And so now you can kind of blend between adding distortion to this and not. You really want to be careful with shit like this because this is how you get like insane feedback sounds and all that, but it exists and I wanted to show you that that's an option. You can also add other things, for example, like segments or curves or anything of the sort, to where you can create complex sounds along with this here, kind of like so. Maybe we don't want to do that, but we can do something kind of like this. And then you can add like a bunch of these here and have different things to where maybe this comes in and create incredibly complex sounds. And the cool thing about doing this in the grid is that there's no limit to whatever it is that you want to do. So the only thing that you have to kind of mess with over on this side is the ratios or the pitching. So if you want to change the ratios in here, I didn't really think that it was necessary to change this or to put this over on the other side, because you might want to change the semitones or the hertz values and all that other stuff. The other thing that's really important is that you can actually have unison on this on the individual settings. So if we pull the spread down and maybe add some detuning, then again, this is going to create an even more complex sound. I haven't really made anything cool that I'm like, yo, check this out, but this is like, I just made the thing, so it's very exciting. Then we can change the wavetable position down here. That's a V-bell. So like, yeah, just the variety of sound that you can get out of this is going to be pretty awesome. And I'm really curious to see what you all are going to do with this whenever I get this into your hands. I'm currently building a toolbox, which is not going to be very many presets. I'm talking of like 10, maybe 15 patches for the grid that are going to be like utilities. So like a neurobase template, drum templates for kicks and snares and percussion, pad template selector thing like I've done in Faceplan. And then now I've built this FM4 synth, which is pretty dope. I might do a couple of things to tweak with this. Like, for example, I may add a noise thing, but the problem is that I think the mixer can only have 6 inputs, if I'm not mistaken. And so because of that, I don't even know if I'm going to add it because they're all taken. Oh no, we have one more. We could do noise, like an independent noise thing, and let that go out itself. So maybe I'll add that. Maybe not. We'll see. I don't know. For me, if I wanted to add noise, I could probably just do something along the lines of... Actually, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll add noise. That's not too difficult. But yeah, I mean, that in itself, this is a pretty kick-ass thing. Probably one of the coolest inventions that I've come up with, aside from the faceplant things. If you are an ARCANUM member, I am going to leave this for you in the Discord. If you are not a member and you maybe want to pick this pack up sometime down the line, I'll be doing another video where I'll be announcing, you know, where this is included and all that other stuff. It won't take long because I'm working on it. I'm almost done with it. But sit tight and there you go. I don't necessarily want you to pay 20 bucks for this by any means. I have tons of other things for the memberships, but I'm so excited that I really want to put this out and I really want to share it and see what everyone else has to offer for that. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions about it. Have some fun. If you do something cool, tag me on socials. I would love to see that. And yeah, thank you so much.